Welcome to Martini Time and following the Dharma Trail. So, today's been a beautiful day. We're in the process of melting the snow. I went to have lunch with a friend at Ruby Tuesdays, and I had guess what you can figure out what I had. I had a Trump burger, and my friend had a Stormy Daniels rack, or Stormy Daniels ribs. Trump burger is cheeseburger, and a Stormy Daniels ribs is ribs with a big rack. I thought that was funny. So what's in the news today? I haven't been watching the news this afternoon, so I guess the government is still shut down. I assume that. And I found this to be interesting from a Zen point of view. From a Zen point of view, which is fundamentally, you could say, what is the key thing that's interesting about Zen is the Zen koan, K-O-A-N. It is a spiritual puzzle. For instance, the koan would say, the master would say, holding this up, if you say this is a stick, a pencil, you're wrong. If you say it is a pencil, you're still wrong. Now, which is it? Choose or I'll hit you with it. So that's a Zen koan. It pushes you to make a creative leap. Create a new idea that never existed before, which you are. Now, see, this is a spiritual koan. So a spiritual koan is to activate a spiritual or a rebirth. A rebirth. Now, when not the rebirth of something old, but a new birth. That's a better term. So the koan activates the tension of the two opposites that have two ideas that have opposite frames of reference. So if I say this is a pencil or this is not a pencil, now logically it's got to be one or the other. Is it a pencil or is it not a pencil? So this forces you to drop logic. It forces you to make a leap into the unknown, beyond logic, beyond the law of identity. The law of identity, cheeseburger. The law of identity, which is the operational system of science, is that this is a pencil and only a pencil. It can't be a battery at the same time. Now, in a dream, this can turn into a battery, the battery could turn into a pencil. But in reality, which empirical reality is the basis for our truth in the materialistic world, a thing is a thing. A pencil is a pencil. It can't be a rabbit, you see. So this koan, this spiritual puzzle, this metaphor, forces you to drop logic and make a leap and connect two opposites into a new being, a new idea, a single idea that contains the opposites. Now, this is what our government, our Constitution is designed to create. It's like the Founding Fathers were a Zen master, and they gave the American people a Zen koan. And the koan is the two parties. So the left has a idea of reality with its frame of reference, its logic, its evidence, and the right has its idea of the world, its reality, its frame of reference, its evidence, its constituents, its voters. So you have two ideas, worldviews, with opposite frames of reference, but they're mutually dependent because they are in the same situation. So when you have two opposite ideas, two opposite frames of reference, In a mutually dependent situation, you have you have a Zen cone. And so you can't choose. So the master would say, if you choose the liberals, you're wrong. If you choose the conservatives, you're wrong. Now choose. What are you going to do? Well, the tension of the two opposites that cannot be one, there has to be one center. You know, a tent has one center pole. It doesn't, you know, there has to only one center to the nation. So in order to get to the one, these two have to generate out of their competition and friction a single idea that gives birth to a new way of doing something that has not been figured out before. So the whole idea of our Constitution is a dialectic of thesis, antithesis, opposites, generating energy, and that energy creates a synthesis. Thesis, antithesis, tension, yin, yang, yang, boom, a new birth, a new idea that has not existed before. That's the point. The new idea has not, when you have, creativity means something is created that never existed before. It's not a rehash of something old. It's not a horizontal movement of just shifting information around. It is a new creation. And that's exactly what America is, a new creation. It was created out of the tension between the colonial British colonies and the monarchy. So you had a one British Empire dividing into two with opposite frames of references. The frames of reference of meaning for the colonials was the colonial conditions. And the frame of reference for the monarchy was England's conditions. And these were opposites. So they went yin, 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 yin in the Revolutionary War, wow, 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 pew, and a new being was created, which is America. So this dialectic is built into our system. And unless we can activate that dialectic, we end up in violence or stalemate. So when the government shut down, that was a failure of creativity. That was a failure of the dialectic that was intended, that was built into the Constitution. So it just delays the young, and it will have to come up with a new idea that transcends but contains the two views of the opposite sides. And this is what happens in our personal life. This is a formula for creativity or violence. If you have the yin, 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 yin going on, each one wanting to be the center. You see, that's the problem. There has to be one center. So now you got the left and the right. Each one says, I want to be the center. I want to be the only party. I want to be the dominant party. Get rid of the other side altogether. Just me. Just me, you see. Of course, that's a dictatorship. That's a one-party system. That's Russia, you see. So the American system is built on controlled competition or controlled conflict of opposites that must, like a Zen cone, give birth to a new America. So every time we have a conflict of opposites and the birth of a new idea, a new policy, a new law, a new idea, a new world, whatever it is, that's the American system. That's what America is. It is a creative system. We keep creating ourselves over and over and over again. And when we stop creating ourselves, we get into trench warfare, and everything dies. Everything stagnates. Everybody says, we're on the wrong course. Well, currently we're on the wrong course because we're not creating our course. America has to create its course. There is no course for us to follow. There's no path laid down into the future, because then it's just going to be a rehashing of the old stuff, the old world, the Old Testament. So this is biblical too. The New Testament is a rebirth of something that never existed before. you see. And so all of this, all these things going on, you see, are very fundamental to our everyday life, our marriages, our little snits and snats or whatever, you see, our trips to Walmart, everything. All this formula, these principles are at work in our everyday life. And we all want to be creative, because creativity doesn't mean being an artist so much. It means having an insight into a predicament or a dilemma or a tension or a negativity or a gridlock or a contraction or any situation where you don't feel liberated, you don't feel your potential released, you see. You're caught in a double bind. And usually we blame somebody else, just like the Republicans are blaming the Democrats are blaming the Republicans. He did it, no, he did it, you see. But they've created for themselves a no end game. I mean, they can't continue to stop the government forever. So at some point they have created a tension, a pirate's plank, so to speak, where they are pushing themselves off the end of the plank, and they're going to have to come up with a new idea. Now, whether or not, you see, so this, we're really, and I look at why is this happening, and I look at the attitudes we have today of our political parties, and the one thing that stands out, particularly on my conservative friends, now I'm not blaming, I'm just pointing out what is obvious, is that liberals are always framed in a moral category. Obama did it, Hillary did it, liberals, Democrats, get rid of them all. They're immoral, they're un-American, they're evil, you see. So this is casting the opponent, political opponent, in a moral category. And you can't compromise when you're in when you define your opponent morally. You can't, if they're evil, you can't compromise with evil or immorality or something, you see. So this has befallen us, this injection, it's like heroin, that's been injected into the political parties, which is a moral viewpoint. Politics is pragmatic. And at the end of the day, the politicians go home at the bar and have a drink. So it's like a political game, you see. But when it's moral, it's salvation of your soul that's at stake now, not the policy, but my salvation of my soul. I don't want to be, we don't want America to be eternally damned. You see, we're in a moral category, kind of like Puritan New England. It's kind of like one party is a theocracy. It's the moral party. The interesting thing is that thanks to Trump, he has completely blown apart the moral principles or the moral backbone of the Republican Party. So it's going to have to be a pragmatic party instead of a moral party. That's a good thing. Politics is pragmatic, not moral, you see. And the Republicans have been winning on moral categories. Abortion is a moral category. Gay rights, LBJ, is a moral category. It's a sin. It's a sin. Abortion is a sin, you see. So you can't have politics when you're dealing with sin. You see, that's a religious concern. So it turns politics into a religious politics. And then there is no dialectic, there is no creativity. There is just division, warfare, self-destruction, and the end of our way of life. So thanks for dropping in. Enjoy a Trump burger next time you're out. Or Stormy Daniels ribs. Thanks. Oops.